Welcome to chapter 59 of Spoken Word Recollections communicated via a light pigmented chum. How are we all going? I'm sweet. I've got a mad headache. Oh, not a mad headache. I've got one of those headaches where, like, it's pissing me off, but it's not really affecting my mood. Like, I'm still in a pretty good mood, but I also want to die. Like, it's really confusing. So, you know, I've never been that excited about imminent death before. Anyway, what a cheery start to the podcast that was. Welcome to the very first Tuesday edition of this podcast. The podcast is now coming out on Tuesday. So if any of you are like, Luke, it's a day late, well, you didn't listen to last week. Busted, because I announced that last week. So the podcast will now be on Tuesdays. And you know what? I'm kind of pumped about it because I feel like, you know, no one's like, I'm never excited to do anything on a Monday, let alone listen to this I mean, some people were like, oh, you make my Mondays better with your podcast, but like, that's just like, that's not because my podcast is good. That's just because Mondays suck so hard that even this podcast is better than that. Like, I mean, Mondays are the worst. Oh, wait, today's a Monday. I'm recording this on the Monday. That's why I want to die. I was wondering, it's not even my headache. I just want to get to Tuesday. Anyway, you guys are listening to this on the Tuesday, and that is where the podcast will be from now on. Now, sorry, I think I've gotten sick. So, also, we're having 2 weeks off the radio show, just in case people were wondering why we weren't on air today. We're having next 2 weeks off before Lewis's comedy special taping. He's getting his new hour taped for his big crowd fund. He raised like $60,000 if you don't listen to his shit. But yeah, so, and I'm also getting some comedy tape there as well. I'm getting some of my jokes filmed, so I wanted to get ready for that. So we thought we'd have a couple of weeks off the radio, and even though I love it and it is truly some of the best fun I've ever had making comedy, holy shit, I was counting the days. Just because I'm getting sick, and I think you might be able to hear it in my voice. I've got a mad headache from just too much, I don't know, too much of everything. Just too much, not enough sleep. I don't think I slept for like more than 6 or 7 hours for like maybe a month, and it just all started to add up. And okay, so this is just a really negative start to the podcast, but something like really made me angry earlier in the week, and I still haven't gotten over it. So I just need to vent with you guys, and it wasn't a huge deal at the time, but it's since just weighed on me more and more during the week. And it's one of your guys' fault. I don't know if the person listens to the podcast, but it was, well, I would say a fan or someone who follows me on Snapchat. Fuck, I don't even know where to start the story. It was just so shit. Someone who followed me on Snapchat sent me this shit, like easily the shittest thing I've ever received on Snapchat. Now, I receive just constant amounts of shit every single day. Sometimes I will literally receive videos and pictures of shit. Now, I block 2 things I block. If you send me nudes, I'll block you straight away, and if you send me pictures of your shit, I will block you straight away. And also, if you send me streaks like once a day, you're fucked as well. Just piss off. So, those are the only people I'll actually block on Snapchat from sending me shit. Otherwise, feel free to send me anything, as long as it's not your actual fecal matter. Like, that's anything but that. But it's this person, I thought it was that. I was like, oh, anything but shit is fine. And then someone sent me something so heinous and so disgusting. Honestly, I've been feeling sick all week because of that, like in the gut. It's been just sitting there, and it's like every time I honestly dry reach every time I don't want to talk about it. Okay. So I got a video of a person walking to their fridge. That's fine. Getting some milk, also fine. It's a normal thing you should keep in the fridge. So far, nothing weird in the Snapchat story. Then they walk over to their kitchen bench and they have a packet of Twisties and a bowl. And I was like, oh, that's weird. They've put some Twisties next to their cereal bowl. And then he put the milk in first. He put some milk in, and I was like, oh man, this is this is fucked up. That is not the right order for cereal. If you put milk in before the cereal, you're an idiot. Like, you don't know how to make cereal, so you just missed that day of like life school. I don't know when you learn that shit, but I'm pretty sure someone went, oh, by the way, cereal first, then milk. Or else, how do you know how much milk to have? everyone knows that's already, I was pissed off. It was like 4 seconds into this Snapchat, and I was like, whoa, hey, pump the brakes, man. You're doing this in the wrong order. So I keep watching the Snapchat, and he fills the bowl right up with milk. And I was like, that's way too much milk, no matter what cereal you're putting in. I know Wheat Bix absorb a lot of milk, but this is still too much milk. I'm like, look, you could be having Cocoa Pops right now. I don't care. That's excessive milk. It's going to overflow. And then this dude just does one of... Oh, God. He does one of the most... I want to say it's un-Australian, but it's probably really Australian, and that's why I hate it. It was just one of the most feral things I've ever seen another human do. Like, I know there's like, child soldiers in Somalia. There's, people starving in different countries. There's war, famine, and people stoop pretty low in a war zone and when there's terror in their lives. But goddamn, this was just next level shit. He opened the packet of Twisties and poured the Twisties in the milk, grabbed a spoon, and then just started eating it. Flipped the camera and selfie recorded himself eating milk and Twisties. Twisties aren't cereal. What? Dude, I almost munted from your Snapchat. I blocked him immediately. I was like, fuck that guy so hard. And if anyone dares during the week to repeat this act, shame on you. And just know you will not be able to follow me on Snapchat anymore. And I'm using that like it's a threat. It's not. My Snapchat sucks shit. I've actually just done you a favor if I block you on Snapchat. My Snapchat is bad, but it's not that bad. It's not Milk and Twisties bad. Are you serious, man? Milk and Twisties. Oh, have a bloody Dorito cereal while you're at it. Oh, put some Jelly Babies in. Get some... What else are you gonna do? Like, that's madness, man. It honestly, like, I know, like, oh, Luke, you just talk shit. Dude, like, I wasn't even gonna talk about it on the podcast because I was so fucking angry about it. And then I was just like, man, I don't know, I obviously had to vent it, but... And you know what? He did it like it wasn't that out of the normal for him. That's what made me angry. Not like it wasn't like a show-off act. Like, oh, look, I'm putting milk and Twisties together. Oh, by the way, if you're in America or like UK, I don't know if you guys have Twisties. What would they be like? They'd be like cheese puffs, or it's like a cheesy... Here's the thing. Twisties are like... What's a cheese puff? I'm going to look up that. I'm trying to find the American version of this. Yeah, okay. A cheese puff. Oh, I found him. It's a... Cheeto. Is it Cheeto or cheese puff? Anyway, it's pretty much like a cheese puff, but in Australia, I think Twisties are Australian. They just have these like, they're just like retarded cheese puffs, essentially. Like, you get them in all different shapes and sizes. Like, some will look like an orange dog turd, and some will look like Jesus. Like, I'm pretty sure there's an actual Jesus Twisty. Let me look it up. Jesus Twisty. Like, you can actually... Anyway... They come in like all shapes and sizes. And anyway, so Twisties, it's like a cheese puff. Imagine putting that with milk and then eating it as cereal. It's disgusting. Get some respect for yourself. So that ruled my week real early on. Like, I was just... Like, I woke up, I think on like... It was like Monday or Tuesday. Oh no, it would have been like Tuesday or Wednesday. And I was like feeling good. Last week of radio for 2 weeks. Let's do this. Let's hit this. Got up. And then I just opened that shit. And I almost went back to bed, but I couldn't sleep because I felt weird about living in the same world as that guy. People who take serial risks like that, like people who just roll the dice like that, run the gauntlet with having cheese puffs or Twisties and milk, they should be deported 100%. And I think that just shows how lax Australia's immigration policy is. Just like, yeah, whatever, like, let in all the Muslims you want, let in... I don't care. Let in everyone. Doesn't matter what skin color you are. But if you have a history of mixing cheese puffs or Twisties with milk, get the fuck out, mate. We're fucking full. All right, we don't need those kind of people bringing us down. Holy shit. Anyway, what else has been going on? Oh, God. Okay, I had a new idea for a segment. I mean, I've already been doing the segment for like 9 minutes now. The segment is called White Thoughts, right? Brand new segment. We've had a few fun ones in the past, including the fun fact, and I just thought, White Thoughts. This podcast is memoirs of a white guy, and I never want to forget where it came from, kind of thing. I don't want to forget where I started, and I started off being a self-involved white prick who's very hard to like. And you know what? I'm going to get back to my roots today. So this is white thoughts, right? And white thoughts, actually, you know what? Let's call it hashtag white thoughts because it's fucking white. So this is hashtag white thoughts. And it's just like what white thoughts are. They're essentially just thoughts that I have during the week. And I have them and I'm like, oh, that sucks. I hate that. And then I like also step back a little bit from my privilege and check it and go, oh, wait, I'm only having this thought because I have fair pigmented skin and I've never felt oppression. And this is why I'm having this thought. No one else would care about something this small and just unimportant. But day to day, I will have selfish thoughts that, you know, no one, any Muslim, like no brown person, no Muslim, no Greek, no Italian. I mean, obviously some people would still have these thoughts. But all I'm saying is I think no other race or no other person of any type of ethnicity is this arrogant and self-involved to think like I am. So this is hashtag white thoughts. And the thought I had during the week was I was in my car and I had a cup and I opened my cup holder, which I rarely use in my car, by the way, because I don't know, I'm a busy guy. I don't often have a cup on me. I'm too busy driving to have cups. But I had a cup and I was like, oh, perfect. I'll use my cup holder. And I opened it, tried to put my cup in. It didn't fit the cup. My cup holder in my car is not regulation size. Do you know how mad that made me? I was like, I bought this car with like all my money when I was like 18, man. I spent 5 years of my hard-earned money on a car that can't hold a cup. But what kind of car? I know that's like not what a car's designed for. It's like A to B. It's not like A to B and hold a cup. But still, it's the little things, you know? So Subaru, I just want to call out Subaru right now. If you... If you don't know what you've done, you've made, like, it was a Macca's cup, which is a standard size, and it just didn't fit. It just got jammed, and I was just like, and then, you know, obviously I took a step back, and I was like, no one else would give a shit ever. I also, by the way, I have 3 cup holders in my car. It fit the other 2 fine. Absolutely, it fit perfectly. But there was one that it didn't fit, and it bothered me for the rest of the trip home. And I, like, instead of, like, using the other 2 cup holders, I just sat there trying to jam it in, going like, this is bullshit. This is the one thing in my life that hasn't gone to plan today. And I hated it. And so there's hashtag white thoughts. And if you didn't think I was an asshole before that segment, well, you do now. Because, man, like, it wasn't obviously as bad as the guy putting twisties in his milk. Holy shit, man. That would... Imagine, like, a twisty. Like, I don't even really... Oh, like, imagine drinking the milk at the end of that. Like, cheesy milk. I mean, I guess it's like both dairy things, but no, it's yuck. Oh, the powder would have been in it. Would have made the milk all orange. Man, some men just want to watch the world burn, in the words of Alfred. And that dude who put twisty in his milk, like, there's a reason. There's a reason why Sanitarium and who does cereal? Uncle Toby's aren't selling that shit. All right, you never see twisty porridge. Because it would suck. Anyway, I'm getting distracted again. Whoever, if the dude who sent me that is listening, I hope you feel fucking ashamed of yourself, okay? That you stooped that low. That's like, you know, like people like go, oh, like, you know, me the day before payday. And it's like eating like noodles and toast and it's like shitty, poor, like, you know, cheap food that you're like, oh man, this isn't great, but it's something. Like, I don't think I would even... Like, even if I had negative $100, like, even if I was in debt, I would never, like, stoop myself so low. I would rather bin dive or, like, steal food. That's the thing. I would rather, like, be a thief than eat that shit, honestly. What else is going on? Oh, so so I've done white thoughts. I'm just going through my list here. Okay, so I don't know if I mentioned, I probably did on the podcast, I crashed my car like 3 weeks ago maybe, and it was 100% my fault. So I had to pay for it, and because I'm under 25, and I'm a P plater, which is like a probationary license. Because in Melbourne, your probationary license, you have 1 year on your red Ps and then 3 years on your green Ps. So I'm on my green Ps doing those 3 years, and because I'm a probationary driver still, my excess on my insurance is like off the charts high, to the point where like if I ever crashed my car, I just knew I was fucked. And then as soon as I crashed it, like I ran up behind someone in my traffic because my bag fell off my. So what happened was, I may have told this story, but just to recap, I was in my car just going really slowly, like 10 kilometers an hour, and then my my bag was on my passenger seat and had like my laptop and my camera and all this expensive shit in it, and it started to fall off. So I lunged across and I was like, oh shit, that's expensive. And then while I was saying, oh, that's expensive to myself, I crashed and cost myself $2,600 crashing into someone's car in front of me. And as soon as I crashed, I knew how high my excess was, and I just knew, I just started laughing. I started losing my shit. I was like, oh man, I'm going to be so poor. This sucks. And I just thought it was funny because I just knew, like, have you ever been in a situation where you're like, okay, great, I fucked myself. There's quite literally nothing I can do now. So I just laughed. I was like, there's nothing I can do to take that back. I've cost myself a lot of money. And then I got out of the car and I was talking to the lady and I was like looking at the damage of her car and I was like, oh man, that's fun. I just scratched her paint. This is not going to cost me that much at all. Great. And then I checked mine on the way back into the car and I full on messed up the front of it. So I'm like, oh, that'll be pretty expensive. But I was thinking like, oh, it actually won't be as high as my excess. Because like an excess of an insurance, if you don't know, excess is what you pay. Say you cause it a $10,000 car accident or whatever, and it's really expensive, and you'll only have to pay what your excess is because you're insured, right? That's why you pay insurance. But if if the car crash costs under your excess, then you just pay like $1,000 or whatever's under your excess, right? So my excess was like $2,600, which is really high. And then I was like thinking the whole week after it happened, I was like, oh great, this is fine. I'll probably only have to pay like $1,000. That sucks, but you know, I've really come out of this all right. And then I get a word back from the insurer that my car costs $1,700 or some bullshit thing. I was like, oh, whatever. And then, so I was like, wait, that's okay. The other person just had a paint scratch. It'll be fine. And then they go, yeah, we're still waiting to hear from them. So then 2 days pass and I get a call back from the insurer. He's like, hey, the other person's quote's come in. It's come in at over $1,000 also. I was like, what? I lost my shit, man. There was like 2 paint scratches, max. Like 2. It was like I chipped the paint off one bit and then made a tiny, like if you rubbed a 10-cent coin, like for like just like you went, oh, and just accidentally keyed their car for like half a centimeter. And I have a photo of it on my phone, and that was like, it cost them like $1,000. And I was bullshit because I knew the lady was dodgy on the day. And I was like, oh, I bet you she's going to use this. And she used that little scratch to replace a whole new bumper on the back of the car. And you know what? I was like, that's bullshit. But I would have done exactly the same thing. What a bitch. What a conniving bitch. But I definitely would have done the same thing. Like, if I was in her situation and someone even like remotely scratch my car, I just would have like got like fucking subwoofers put in and been like, yeah, I had subwoofers, I had like, you know, I had like a custom paint job. I would have lowered my car. I would have like made it all souped up. I think those cars look so shit, but I just would have done it just to piss the other person off, just to make, you know, free insurance claim. You might as well. So yeah, I got completely fucked. She got a whole new bumper replaced when she literally could have like put one coat of paint. Like, I was just so unlucky. Like, I could have got some real bogan, like, nice Aussie, true blue Australian bloke. Like, you go up the back of him accidentally and he's driving his Hilux. It doesn't make a fucking dint on it. But even if it does, like, you know, he gets out and the whole back of his car's completely fucked. And he's like, mate, nothing a coat of paint can't fix. No worries, champ. He goes, we've all been there, mate. We've all had an accident. I'll just, one of my mates is a bloody panel beater. I'll just give him a slab, mate. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Have a fucking great day, champ. And he just gets back in his car and goes off to work. Like, that's the dream scenario. But obviously there's like 4 dudes like that in Australia. And you know what? God bless you souls, okay? Because I can't afford that shit, and this lady completely did the asshole thing, which I would do, by the way. I'm not, like, saying what she did was wrong. Oh, it is wrong, but I mean, I would do the same thing. I'm not saying what she did. Anyway, whatever. The point is, she was a bitch, and so am I. But yeah, you know, I respect her for it, and I had to pay like $1,000 for a brand new bumper. Hope she's driving around now with a brand spanking new bumper, like what an asshole. Anyway, so that happened. That also ruined my week. And when I didn't have a car, I had to catch public transport again. Holy shit. I haven't caught public transport properly. I started catching it to work on the radio, but, like, I was catching it everywhere. Like, I was on replacement buses. Like, oh, man, it was just, you know, like, I think I forgot, like, how brutal and how raw our Australia's public transport system is. Like, the funniest thing I saw was, there was replacement buses, so you got off at this station and then you got back on the train, right? And everyone else got off. It was like, all terminate, this bus stops here, get back on the train. So everyone got off the thing, and there was this like cooked as muso dude, just like baked out, like half asleep, or not half asleep, like fully knocked out, like with his head back. You know those people who like have their mouth open when they sleep? Like, they look like one of those clown machines at a carnival, like, spinning, but they're just there, like, still, and then and you're trying to, like, throw ping pong balls into their mouth. He looked like that, and he was, like, completely, like, off with the fairies, and everyone got off the bus, and he just wasn't moving. And a few people, like, looked around and looked at him, and then looked at each other, and were like, oh, should we tell him? Like, you know, the bus has stopped, and then I kind of looked at this guy, and we were the last two on the bus. And then I looked at the guy and I was like, oh, this guy will tell him. And the other guy looked at me and he was like, oh, he'll tell him. And we both just looked at each other and went, nah, and just shrugged and both fucking walked off. And no one told him. No one woke this dude up. And not even the bus driver was like, hey, mate, it's pretty late at night, I know, but, you know, you got to get off the bus now. No one woke him up. So then the bus, I saw it leave. That was the funniest part. Like, it was like, I was so rude, man. I probably should have told him. But he was one of those people, like, you just didn't want to touch because you can tell he, like, had a knife. So if you, like, woke him up, he'd be like, well, you want fucking what? Like, he'd just wake up and start, like, throwing fists. So I just didn't want to fucking go near him. I was scared for my own safety waking him up, so I just didn't. And then no one else did. So then I was on the train waiting for the train to go, and I could still see him like passed out on the bus. And then I just saw the bus go back. And I asked one of the staff members, I was like, where's that bus off to now? They're like, oh, it goes back to the city. Like, we'd spent like 40 minutes on the bus, and he's just going to wake up back in the city and be like, oh, fuck, the bus still hasn't moved. This is bullshit. Oh, man. That's the funniest shit. That guy would have had the worst night. You know what? He was probably the guy who sent me like the Snapchat with twisties in the milk. And you know what? Maybe I deserved it. You know? Oh, man. I think I'm almost done. It's a very short podcast, isn't it? We're only up to like 23 minutes, man. I mean, I'll do a few questions. Actually, I need to read iTunes bloody reviews. Actually, I've got to go to a gig. Here's the thing. I came into the radio station and I was like, oh, I've got to, do this podcast. But I came to the radio station before the gig to do it. And I just got mad held up. And now I've got to go to a gig in like 15 minutes. So it'll be a shorter podcast this week, guys. But you know what? I've got a fucking throbbing headache anyway. So actually, I've got to read some reviews. I've been saying I'm going to read reviews for ages. Memoirs of... okay. Before I read reviews, I did have something else I need to talk about. So, last week... Okay, I've got a couple of things to recap. This is the first one. Actually, I'll recap the main one after. The first thing is... last week, I was talking about how bad it would be and like how it would never happen. Like how bad it would be if you got rejected for a job at Macca's. Like if you went for a job at Macca's and they were like like you go for the worst job in the world and they're like, hey, sorry, you're so shit that we don't want to hire you here. Like I was just joking about that, right? Well, not really joking. I was just kind of saying, man, imagine how much that would suck if you were that stupid. And then I got hit up by like 3 people One dude on Snapchat particularly, he just messaged me like, I went for a job interview at Macca's and got rejected. And that was it. I was just like, I was just like, oh lol, that sucks. And he just didn't reply. Didn't think it was as funny as I am. Dude, this guy, I know this guy is. He came to my show and shit. He's a legend of a dude. But what the fuck, man? Like, what did you do? Did you try and fail it? Did you walk in and like purposely dribble on your shoes? Like, I don't know how you managed to prove in that amount of time that you were not suitable for a job at McDonald's. It's like, yeah, man, after 3 minutes, you gotta flip the burger to the other side, and like, you give it a go, and you're like, oh, fuck, and you flip it against the wall. Like, and then, like, imagine, like, how do they even tell you, like, hey, better luck next time? No, there's no next time. If you can't get a job at Macca's, you're just unemployable. Okay, like, just start running to Centrelink, okay? Start queuing now for the, like, on the dole. Like, because you'll never get it. Sorry, I know, like, usually I try and be really inspiring on this podcast. Like, you know, you guys can achieve anything. But if you couldn't get a job at Macca's, I'm sorry, you can't achieve shit. Like, even worse, like Red Rooster or something. It's like Macca's, like, dyslexic cousin. It's like, yeah, we do chicken, that's it. Anyway, I'm sorry, man, that sucked. I'm assuming, here's the thing, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm assuming they had like too many people and they didn't have a spot for you there, man. I'm sure you were great and you would have been awesome at Macca's. I'm sure you would have been one of the best damn Macca's employees on the planet, which is like still one of the shittest employees at any other job ever. But yeah, I had to update you on that. I mean, I just felt so bad for the guy. I was like, man, I crushed his soul. And the other thing that happened during the week, last week on the podcast, you might remember, I was Googling LP, the New Zealand drink. I think it's called Lemon and Pereira or who gives a shit? I think I Googled how to pronounce it last week and did not retain it. It's called Lemon and Pereira or whatever. It's the best drink in New Zealand. But while I was Googling LP, I accidentally Googled MLP, which stands for My Little Pony. And then I started talking about My Little Pony and just started saying like how the hell there's 40-year-old dudes out there who watch this shit and they're called Bronies, right? And I was just started joking around like, imagine if there were Bronies, haha. Oh my god, imagine if there were Bronies who listen to this podcast. And I just said that as a throwaway line, and man, oh man, boy did I cop it during the week. Like, never, like, apparently, okay, I've learned from, like, doing comedy is, you don't fuck with feminists, vegans, and bronies. Those are, like, the three minorities, three demographics you don't fuck with, alright? If you fuck with a feminist, she will cut her little fringe so short, like, and just give you the biggest, like, you're a man. It's like, dude, you're a white female. Like, you're... What are you talking about? Like, cut that, just fucking, anyway. So, and then the second thing, like, vegans, Lewis has obviously talked about a lot with his Stop World Vegan Day shit. I was in that video and I copped it from them too. But man, never would I expect the amount of hate from bronies. Like, I got hit up by like 4 dudes who are like, hey man, it's pretty, they called me a normie. Like, they were like, hey man, you're such a fucking normie. It's the cool thing to hate bronies. And I was like, dude, it's not the cool thing to hate bronies. It's just a shit thing to like. That doesn't mean it's cool to hate it. It's actually uncool to hate it. You know what? Me talking about My Little Pony for this long is not cool. Like, even giving this show the attention that it does not deserve is like, that's not cool, man. Like, already what I'm doing is not cool. So don't be like, oh, it's cool to bag bronies. It's not cool at all to talk about these people at all. But, and he started calling me a normie. He's like, man, it's so fucking basic. And I'm like, dude, have you listened to my podcast? It's the most basic thing on the planet. I ranted about a guy pouring twisties in his milk for 10 minutes. And you're like, oh, it's basic to talk about My Little Pony. Yeah. That's exactly why I brought it up. That's why I kept talking about it. Man, like, you should have seen the hatred. I actually got hit up by a really reasonable, oh god, that word didn't come out. A really reasonable Brony. He was like, hey man, I just wanted to let you know, I'm actually a Brony. I've been watching this show for about 4 to 5 years now, and he showed me all his merch and stuff. Like, took pictures of all his, like, figurines and shit. This guy was not fucking around. He had, like, a whole wardrobe dedicated to My Little Pony, and I was like, hey, do you call it My Little Wardrobe of Shame? No, I didn't say that, because that would have been mean. He was being really reasonable, right? And he was just like, it would be awesome if you watched an episode just to try and understand it. You know, like, it's about friendship, it's about good values. There's a lot you can take away from the show as an adult, and pretty much just try to explain it. And I haven't got around to watching a My Little Pony episode yet. But you know what, mate? During the week, I will. Actually, you know what? I'm going to watch, like, a bit of an episode. I might watch it during the week and then review bits of it on next week's podcast. And you know what? Maybe in a week, I'll be a Brony too, okay? I might eat my words and start like loving fairy ponies and just neighing to people in the street, just like no, and casting spells. Look, I don't really know what they do. Do they fly? I mean, are they unicorns or are they horses? Oh no, they're ponies. Are they pony unicorns? Again, I'll learn all this when I listen to the show. But so some guy pretty much not really challenged me. I took it as a challenge because I'm a child. But he was like, you know, man, just give it a chance. And I was like, hey, you know what? You're the only one this week who's hit me up as a Brony and been reasonable. You can tell your Brony friends that they were fucking rude, alright, to their non-Brony counterparts, which is me. I'm about to read iTunes reviews, so I haven't read it for a while. This one said, from Casey, 5 stars, congrats on the radio show. Don't get kicked off for being weird and making too many jokes about gorilla bum toots and cheeky muffins. Dude, it's actually a challenge. Like, I've been trying not to. What else? This one is from a pigeon with AIDS. So, not Peter, hopefully. 5 stars, because you ain't a giraffe. Sick. That's really easy to get 5 stars, because I was born a human. Dude, that means every podcast. I don't know any podcast done by giraffes, so I think all podcasts in your eyes are 5 stars. Except for Lewis's. Hang on. I'm getting a phone call. Hello?
Hey.
I'm almost done. Just reading iTunes reviews. Welcome to the podcast, Lewis.
Oh, hey. What an honor to be a victim of the Memoirs of the Light Guy podcast. Thank you very much for having me, Luke. It's an honor.
What do you mean, victim?
I would like to thank God, my manager,
what do you mean, victim?
Jesus, my mum, my co-workers, everyone who helped me with this phone call, specifically Amasim.
Why are you on that phone company?
Apple, the 12-year-old who built it, probably her name was Matobo, her cousin sitting next to her, whoever the guy it was in the sweatshop that was whipping them, making them work faster, Steve Jobs, rest in peace, be to him. When are you going to be here?
I'm coming sec. I'm finishing up the podcast now. That was a good way to end the podcast. So
make sure you rate the podcast on iTunes. Give it 5 stars.
I was literally about to tell them that. So thank you, everyone. That was Lewis Spears, everyone. All right, I'll meet you in a sec. Hang on.
All right, my name's Jeff.
Okay, that sucks. Cool. All right, that is the I should have. You know what? A professional would have cut that phone call out of the podcast. But ladies and gentlemen, I am not a professional. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Next week, during the week, I'll be watching an episode of My Little Pony. I'm going to become a fucking Brony during the week. I'm not pumped about it, but it's going to happen. What's like someone who just gives the show a shot, but doesn't rate it? Is that just called... what's that called? I'm going to think of a name for that. Is it called what? Anyway, I'll think of a title during the week. Is there any more iTunes reviews? I think there was a few more. I really have to go. Me and Lewis are about to head off to a gig. Thank you very much for listening, guys. I will see you next week. Go watch My Little Pony. That's all I have to plug. I have nothing to plug at the moment, so go watch My Little Pony. Do it for that one reasonable Brony out there, but fuck the rest of you. You guys were mean and you hurt my feelings. You clearly learnt nothing about friendship. That's bullshit, man. I need to go, but I got hit up by 5 dudes who really like My Little Pony. They were Bronies, and they were going, fuck you, man. This show is all about friendship and positivity and being nice to each other. I was like, yeah, we clearly haven't taken away anything from that fucking show because you're being an asshole and you hurt my feelings. So how about you be more like those ponies you care so much about and leave me the fuck alone, alright? So, cool. That's the end of the podcast, guys. Have a good one.